Okay, this video is why are young men so lonely? Because a lot of young men, I sometimes see young men lifting weights and stuff, and they tell me that they're real lonely, dating is terrible. And I think a lot of it is because these are good young men, and a lot of times they're very busy doing something, some type of intense training to build their future work skills. Sometimes they're in grad school. A lot of grad schools are in lousy inner city neighborhoods where there's zero social events, nobody sticks around, you don't ever meet the women. What else? A lot of times the girls their own age don't want them. The girls like guys who are older. A guy who's older is going to have more established job skills, more established, better financial situation. The young guys are still sort of developing themselves. And a woman hits her SMV, sexual market value peak, in her early 20s, late teens, early 20s. So they sort of mature in terms of as pretty as they're ever going to be at a much younger age. Whereas a man keeps on becoming, in a sense, more attractive to women as he hits his mid-30s, even his late 30s. He's sort of established in a job, has some wealth, can own a house and all that kind of stuff. Whereas a woman, the older she gets, the lower her SMV is, because the less likely she's going to be able to have a baby, the fewer babies she can have. Because that's one of the biggest things a man can get from a woman is babies. Let's see, what else? So the girls their own age don't want them. So a lot of times they spend a couple years, not uncommonly, their entire grad school age. And the college depends. If it's a public school and there's tons of women around, you're going to meet a lot more women. And there's more women in colleges nowadays than there are men. If it's like one of these Ivy League type places, a lot of times women are not that attractive in those places. Believe me, I know what I'm talking about. Let's see, what else? Now, and also it used to be you just date people who are local. So if you're around women, you just date one of them. But nowadays, it's easier to date people from the dating apps, somebody from a wider geographic range. But the dating apps totally favor women over men. They're like designed to favor the women. That's why a lot of men don't want anything to do with them. I briefly was on them, and I can tell you it's like a disaster for a man. You almost want to throw up or vomit, okay? And a lot of these young women, they're just sort of crazy. They've got like an I am crazy neon advertisement sign about themselves. Tattoos on their neck, pink dyed hair, piercings in their eyebrows or their through their lip or their tongue or some crazy stuff like that through their nose. It makes them all look crazy. It's like it's already dangerous enough to get involved with a woman, but when she's got an I am crazy sign advertised on her, you're like, oh my God, do I really need this trouble? You probably don't. A lot of women are really fat, including at a young age, much more so than in the past. A lot of them are real sleazy, hanging around in bars and stuff like that, where the risk of an STD is real high. They're not going to be a good wife, so what's the point in talking to them? Many are feminists and they hate men. A lot of times that's indicated by having a short haircut. So you don't want anything to do with them. All right. If a woman says she's a feminist, that means you go in the opposite direction. It means she hates men, and it means she's not very intelligent because feminism's like based on Satanism. So there's a lot of women, they're really sort of off limits from the beginning because they're not going to be a good girlfriend, they're not going to be a good wife, so why would you want anything to do with them? A lot of young women are very totally career-minded. They just want to study and get their degree, and they'll deal with marriage and all that stuff later. It's been said by some people that the main thing education achieves is that it lowers fertility rates. Yeah, because everybody's trying to get their degrees, their advanced training, finish their thesis, whatever, make partner, and they delay having kids. And that's a much bigger problem for women than it is for men. A lot of women, I know a lot of really nice, intelligent, pretty doctor ladies that never got married, never had kids. So the old joke is the higher a woman's academic IQ, the lower is her biological reproductive IQ. So anyways, what would you tell a young man? Yeah, sure, you can give him the obvious advice. It's good to be fit, well-groomed, well-dressed, have a good job or business, but that's really not enough. You have to meet the women, and you can either meet them on a dating app, which sucks and it's weighed against you, or you can end up getting somewhere where you're going to meet them, which isn't always easy. Like if you go to a college that's in a nice rural area, you're going to meet the people because it's going to be a safer neighborhood. They're going to be around. But if you're in some lousy city area where everybody's scared to go out at night, there's not going to be any social events. So you're somehow going to have to get around them. And a lot of times it's good to have friends because your friends will introduce you to their sisters. Their sisters will have friends, and you'll just start meeting more people. So that's also just having more male friends. You'll end up meeting more women indirectly through that. And you kind of have to accept the fact that you just have to work really hard during your late teens, early 20s to sort of establish yourself in some field. And things will get much better when you're in your late 20s. When a man's in his late 20s, he's sort of coming into his own as a mature man. and his SMV is going up, 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 and a woman of a similar age, her SMV is going down. So his same SMV relative to her, he's going up. So things just get better and better for the man as he gets older in terms of all that stuff is concerned. But yeah, lots of young guys are really lonely. It's a very high percentage of them are incels, involuntary celibates.